Hi, I'm Michael Perry, also known as Mr. Plant Geek. Here is my personal guide to looking after your houseplants. I've loved houseplants ever since I was gardening with my grandma when I was a child. She had houseplants on every single windowsill of the house. I remember growing them from seed, taking cuttings. Of course, this was the 80s and houseplants were popular then, but they fell out of favour. However, Instagram and social media has brought them back to massive popularity. Everybody loves a foliage plant. They're mad for ferns, orchids. Open up Instagram and you see so many plant parents, and I'm here for it. So in today's video, we're going to look at a range of different care tips for your houseplants, starting off with the position. So first up, we're going to talk about positioning of your houseplants. Now, there are various different positions that are put on the labels when you buy your plants. The most mystical of all tends to be bright indirect light. What actually is that? Well, it's an area where you're getting light, but it's not right in front of the window. So it could be the light bounces off the wall. That is bright indirect light. It could be behind a sheer curtain. That is bright indirect light. Plants that enjoy these conditions tend to be a lot to choose from. So it could be orchids, it could be monstera, and I've got a baby monstera monkey mask just here, and that will love bright indirect light because it's very similar to the conditions it would have in the rainforest. You've also got full light as well. Full light means right in front of the window. So this is perfect for cacti, succulents, also carnivorous plants during their summer period. Or you may have a room that has a very small window or perhaps no window at all. That could be an office or perhaps a lounge that really doesn't get that much sun. You need to choose plants such as the ZZ plant. These can cope with very, very low light levels. Also Sansevieria, mother-in-law's tongue. Next, watering. Let me tell you how I water my houseplants. So I have a reminder on my phone once a week on a Thursday, and that is the day that I go around and water all my houseplants. At that point, it might be that some houseplants particularly need it, and they might start to be looking as if they're wilting, but I get to them on that Thursday. It might be there's plants that don't need it, so I just ignore them on that Thursday. But I find that this is the best way to organize looking after my houseplants around my own busy life. And another tip, never share watering responsibilities with your partner or your friends, because that is then at risk of overwatering your plants, because of course you'll go past the plant, you'll remember to water it, perhaps your partner does it the same day as well. That plant ends up being a soggy mess. When you water, use warm water if you can. Don't use ice cold water straight from the tap. Also, if your plants like humidity, then spray them every time you water, or have a saucer of pebbles and water from below, and you'll have a much more humid environment around your plants. And lastly, you might see advice out there to give orchids an ice cube per week. It doesn't mean an ice cube, it means the equivalent of an ice cube in water, warm water again. So feeding. Remember, your plants will need a winter rest period, so reduce the watering and don't feed them between October and around March, April. At that point, they'll start to come back to life. Now, your feeding regime could be every couple of weeks through that summer period. Orchids, for example, and flowering plants, they will need high potash feeds. Leafy plants, if you want them to be glossy with even more lovely foliage, look at high nitrogen feeds. Now, cleaning your plants. This is incredibly important, but incredibly overlooked. Your plants need to photosynthesize. So this means they use sunlight in order to create food for themselves. Now, if your plants are getting dusty, they can't do that as efficiently. So when you dust your sideboards, dust your plants as well. A damp cloth or leaf shine in a bottle, even dipping that cloth in milk and dragging it across the leaf can work. So which plant can you put in which room? Obviously, this is quite subjective, so it depends on your individual conditions. But as a rough guide, living rooms. Often there are positions of bright indirect light in those rooms. So palms, for example, would be perfect in those conditions. Now, sunny windowsill in the kitchen. Perhaps you're going to put a cactus or a succulent in that position. Here's a really, really gorgeous Shrek's ear crashula. So how about a dark office that doesn't get much light, but you really want to have plants in there to uplift the place and also help to purify the air? That plant could be pothos, the devil's ivy, available in a range of different colours. Now finally, bathrooms. Bathrooms, lots of humidity, lots of moisture. Ferns will absolutely lap up those conditions. So there's a huge range to choose from. Ferns, to be honest, are happier in a bathroom than they are any other room of the house, in my experience. So that concludes my short houseplant guide for you here on Primrose. But why not have a little look on their website and see which plants take your fancy? Make sure that you read all the instructions clearly so you get the right plant for the right room. Also, there's various considerations there on which plants are most pet safe as well, so you can avoid any hiccups in the home. But also, have a look on the Primrose website and also on the NASA website, where there's a lot of information about which plants purify the air the most. Top of the list tend to be Sansevieria, that mother-in-law's tongue, and Gerbera. So have a little search and good luck with your houseplant journey.